welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by Chalkboard, where you simply choose more or less in your favorite players. That's went up to 5,000 times your money. I am Jim Coventry. Today's show will include, I'm going to give my top reactions to the Week 11 action. So we are going to go instant reaction number one. Buffalo Bills drop 44 points on the Buccaneers. The Bills win 44, the Bucs 32. Bills move to 7-3. Huge win for them, clearly behind the Patriots of the division lead, but it really sets them up well. Buccaneers dropped to 6-4 in that crazy AFC South, but they still should be in good shape as the division goes, because Carolina, you never know what you're getting week to week. So all that said, we started with Buffalo, and like I said, I may not draft quarterbacks early, but I understand why people do after Josh Allen does this. Not only does Josh Allen have an incredible scoring floor every week, but it's this game why you drafted him. Not only does Josh Allen throw for 317-3 on just 30 attempts, but he also runs for 40 yards and 3 more touchdowns. So that's your definition of week winner at quarterback. And like I said, his floor is always supreme. So yeah, Josh Allen continues to get it done. James Cook is a runner. You knew this is a tough matchup, 16 for 48. But guess what? James Cook made the most of his 3 targets, taking him for 66 yards and a touchdown. I believe it was a 25-yard touchdown that he got in on. So again, James Cook gets it done. He hadn't been scoring a lot of touchdowns. This is, it's fickle. It's not going to happen every week. But again, he's back on track there. Great game for James Cook. Outside of that, were you really starting any other Bills players? You knew that Dalton Kincaid was out. You knew Dawson Knox didn't play the same role, had 3 targets, 1 for 23. You probably weren't counting on him. I hope you're not counting on Josh Palmer. Like I told you in the preseason, he wasn't getting it done with Justin Herbert when they needed him last year. 2 for 17 in this one on 5 targets. Good player, but just not somebody you could trust in fantasy. Gabe Davis, they put him in the lineup. 3 for 40 on 4. Look, Dave Davis, misplay, drop, had a pass broken up, call it whatever you want. Could have been a touchdown. Didn't get it, but that's kind of the story of Gabe Davis. But I will say this. If they're going to work him back in, and Keon Coleman was a scratch, apparently disciplinary issues. I'm going to hear more about that probably overnight tonight. While that news was dropping, I was doing shows and getting ready for game day. So we'll find out more about that later. But if Gabe Davis is back in the mix, stash him in your deeper leagues. If they're going to make him a thing, he certainly has chemistry with Josh Allen. You never know what'll happen there. Ty Johnson, 52-yard receiving touchdown. Obviously, you're in the deepest of leagues. You could have taken the world, but most likely very few started him, and you can't count on that play happening. So, but it was really, here's the crazy one. Khalil Shakir, and I got to rewatch this game and see what actually, I know I saw him get nicked up at one point, and I don't think he left, because I always check the injury news at RotoWire as I'm watching all these games. Shakir had 3 targets, 1 catch, -3 yards. That was the wild one out of this one. So if you started him, yeah, you got, well, if you don't count for negative, you got 1 PPR point. So that was a little bit frustrating there. On the Tampa Bay side of the ball, look, I'm full on me on this one. I did not recommend starting Sean Tucker in this game. I know last week he had more carries, but his snap share didn't really increase much from what it was. So I just saw that as one of those usage things in a game where the snaps weren't there. And there was no justification to say this would happen. Well, remember that New Orleans game he had? I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Well, he had one of those again. 19 carries, a buck, 6 and 2 on the ground. He also had 34 yards and a receiving touchdown. So again, 140 total scrimmage yards, 3 touchdowns. If you were smarter than me and you started Sean Tucker, hats off to you. You got yourself a brilliant week out of Tucker. Even Rachaad White was 5 yards a carry in this one, 10 for 51. But obviously, with Tucker playing the way he was, there is no way that Todd Bowles and company were taking him out of that lineup. Broke a 43-yard run. We know Buffalo's run defense is bad, and they really took advantage of that. Now, you'll see the box score when you look at it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they ran 39 times. They only threw 28, and you're going to see that they lost by 12. And you're going to say, well, what happened? Well, what happened was Tampa, this game was close. Tampa was leading at points. The Bills really pulled away in the fourth quarter in this one. And so up to that point, though, Tampa was being so successful on the ground, they really didn't have to put it in the air. And honestly, the way they were running, with their receivers, they have Ibuka, of course, but outside of that, it's really hard to count on that group, right? So Mayfield only attempts 28 passes, throws for 173 and one. But if you started him, he ran for 39 yards and a touchdown. It's the first time since week 2, I believe, that Mayfield actually ran for significant yardage. First 2 games, he was like 33 and above, I believe. And then he didn't have like 15 in a game since. He did at least run in this one. And you could tell it was a big game, and he was definitely trying to put his imprint on it. Emeka Ibuka, and I got to rewatch this game. There's under 8 games going on in the early one. I think it was 7. And, you can't keep an eye on all this close. Got to rewatch the film on all these. But Ibuka was targeted 9 times, catching 5 for 40. When I rewatch it, I have to see Buffalo, I'm sure, had a good plan for him. I'll have to dig into this one a little bit deeper, but that's kind of what I see there. But look at somebody here. We had Singletary starting over Montgomery. Yay, team. Love that one. But back to this. So if you started Cade Otton, it wasn't a good game. So that's a little bit frustrating. Cade Otton went 2 for 28 on 5 targets. But again, Mayfield didn't throw a ton. And Sterling Shepard, and this is a guy you can't start. He went 4 for 54, led the team in receiving, had more points than Emeka Ibuka. But you can't really start him because the deal with Sterling Shepard. He's a very good player, but he'll get as many zeros as he gets at these 9s, and 9 probably wouldn't have won your fantasy week anyway. So all that said, fun game for fantasy, especially if you had like a Cook or Allen in this one. Baker Mayfield wasn't a good outing, but the rushing yardage at least helped you there. But again, if you started Sean Tucker, I got it wrong. I apologize to anybody I steered in the wrong direction on that. I'm only as good as the insight I have, and my insight just wasn't that was going to happen. And sorry to those that sat him, but if you started them, hats off to you again. Hey, Dabble isn't just another DFS app. It's the ultimate social platform where you can connect with other fantasy sports lovers. Dabble lets you win big. You win up to 5,000 times your money this football season. Starting with Dabble is easy. New users get $25 free when signing up. No deposit necessary. Check out the link in the episode description and below to download Dabble now, and that'd be on the YouTube link. All right, we have our next one. Instant reaction number 2. Sam Darnold tosses 4 INTs in a loss against the Rams. Final score, Rams 21, Seahawks 19. Seahawks dropped to 7-3. The Rams 8-2. So again, 2 great records. Very, very strong NFC West this year. And Jamie points out that nobody expected Sean Tucker to put up those numbers. And we will talk about Kenneth Walker. And Randy points out for the first time all season, he chose to bench Kenneth Walker. He had 5 straight games of single-digit PPR points. It worked out for him. It wasn't a monster game. But, yeah, it was a good game for Kenneth Walker. So that was a surprise. I mean, after 5 games of single digits, you definitely didn't see that coming. Let's start out with the Rams side. Since they won the game, they moved to 8-2. It was not the game that I thought they would have. The 4 interceptions, first of all, set them up, with opportunities and field position. First drive, and sometimes I don't know what Sean McVay's doing. I'm not going to question him. He's like a billion times smarter than me. So, but they get the ball down in the red zone early in the game, and they're running, and they're not throwing the ball. And I thought they had an advantage of Matthew Stafford, and they didn't. And then they actually turn it over on downs. Well, Stafford throws an interception almost immediately after, and so the Rams are right back in the red zone. So then they run 3 times at the goal line with Blake Corum, stoned. They go on 4th, they bring Kyron Williams in, and he punches it in. So, because that could have been 2 drives inside the 5, that would have been 0 points. So again, don't get it. So, but Kyron Williams ends up with a nice fantasy. Only 12 carries, 8 for Blake Corum. But 12 for 91 and a touchdown. So Kyron Williams, again, continues to get it done. Caught 1 pass for 5 yards, not much there. But again, you know the deal. Kyron Williams gets enough volume, has the occasional good yardage game, certainly has a nose for the end zone. We know that. So again, he continues to be that borderline RB1 for you. The passing game, again, Stafford attempts 28 passes, only throws for $130, 2 touchdowns. If you start him in fantasy, it's not, the day you want it. It's not really much at all because he doesn't run for anything. So you're looking at about 14 points. So that's a bad game for Stafford, unfortunately. Puka Nacua and Adams both at 8 targets. Now, Adams catches 1 pass for a 1-yard touchdown. That was all he had. I'll rewatch this game again because I'm doing the notes on the first 7, and I'm watching these last 4 games. So it's it's hard to like delve in on every step till tomorrow when I go through this. But I will say this: I wonder if Adams' oblique issue was a problem because I know he didn't have a full practice week. I'll find out when I rewatch it if Seattle just did a great job on him, which is possible, or if it was maybe Adams just not getting the separation he normally get. We'll find that out, and I will definitely report back on that. But for right now, you'll take the touchdown for sure. So that helped, but it was a very bad game for Adams. Puka 7 for 75 on 8 targets. Ground floor game for him, but certainly can't argue with. He also had 18 yards on the ground, so he gets you to 93 overall, scrimmage yards. So again, 7 catches, can't argue. It's not the huge Puka game, but that said, Colby Parkinson scores a touchdown. Odds are you probably weren't looking at him in fantasy, but it went again. Weird game for the Rams. McVay coached it maybe a little weird, but the Seattle Seahawks are one heck of a defense. So I will give them a lot of credit too, because the Seahawks do bring it every game. Mike McDonald, great coach, great talent on that defense. So again, I can't wait to rewatch this one. The Seattle side, so the 4 picks by Darnold, I mean, that's catastrophic. They do get the ball late. They do drive. They attempt a 61-yard field goal at the end of the game to try to win, and it goes wide to the right, I believe. They almost had a shot there late. And again, it's McVay not wanting to put a game away. When the Rams had the ball, they were playing conservative, and it's like, you can't do that. You can. They won, so they did, and he was successful. But, man, you open that door up too much. I mean, a first down, you put the game away, as opposed to taking your shot that maybe Sam Darnold would have thrown another interception, but they were a very slim margin away from pulling off the win. And maybe if the Rams were the Rams got to learn these lessons for the playoffs, because we've seen the Rams in big games. A lot of times decisions cost them, and it gets to be a bit frustrating for that. So, yeah, definitely there. But Kenneth Walker, we said earlier, 67 yards on the ground, 44 on 3 catches. So he goes for 111 scrimmage, and he scores the goal line touchdown. They didn't put Charbonnet at the goal line. Usually that's his, and there you have it there. So, there. But anyway, good game for Kenneth Walker. Again, as I said earlier, broke a streak of 5 great straight games of single-digit PPR. But again, it's very hard to count on him anything more than a flex play right now. And you hope for that touchdown. You hope he gets some yardage, but it really hasn't been there. Gray Zabel has been playing well, their guard. He left with an injury. I will have to see what that one is, but that's a significant injury. That potentially dings that team on both pass pro and run blocking. So we'll see how that one shakes out. Of course, Jackson Smith-Njigba goes off. 9 for $105, 12 targets, runs for 11 yards. Best floor play going, best elite floor play going in fantasy right now. So he's been wonderful, and he just keeps that up. I think he's one game under 96 yards all year. So, but again, great game by JSN. We expect nothing less, and he continues to dominate. The surprise, A.J. Barner. Second in targets with 11, catches 10 for 7. He's a really good player. He's had early in the season, he had some touchdown production going. He had a few games with some yardage production, but obviously his idea of production is going to be very up and down, very difficult to start other than a streamer and hope that he has this kind of game, but probably not. Cooper Kupp, 3 for 23, came short of the end zone once, stepped out of bounds on a play where he was trying to score another touchdown. So it was interesting. It was interesting. So, but all that said, Rashid Shaheed, 5 targets, 2 for 27. We were hoping he'd be more of a thing, but really those 4 drives breaking down with interceptions, you really wonder what the offense would have been like had they not stunted so many drives. So I think Shaheed will be more involved. Darnold had been good at downfield passing with Shaheed. That's a specialty. But again, look, we talked about before, that Rams pass rush was probably going to make it a little difficult for Darnold, and that's the problem. And so if you're thinking Super Bowl for the Seahawks, you're going to have to worry, because when they play a team with a pass rush, they are going to sell out and say, you know what, we are going to make Darnold beat us. And Darnold's history is a little concerning from that perspective for sure. So again, Rams 21, Seahawks 19. Weekly Draft Fantasy Football is here. Welcome to Draft Battle, the only fantasy football platform where draft is king. What's the best part about playing fantasy football? The draft. So why do we only draft at the beginning of the season? At Draft Battle, you can enter snake draft contests every week, all season long. And the best part is you get $100 bonus cash right now when you sign up with the promo code RotoWire. That's right. You heard it right. $100 bonus cash with promo code RotoWire. Draft Battle contest lasts 1 week only and have no season-long commitment, no salary caps, better odds, 8 teams per contest with a best ball format, which means no roster management, plus super flex scoring and weekly payouts. Injuries derail your season-long league? Stay in the game all season long with Draft Battle. High stakes, weekly draft fantasy football. Bonus cash is non-withdrawable, must be 18 plus and present in select states. 19 plus in Nebraska. Visit draftbattle.com for details. Before I get to my instant reaction number 3, Josh Jacobs did leave that Green Bay game with a knee injury. They will be checking on that to see what the deal with it is, but very, very frustrating with that. Josh Jacobs, wow, I was very, very frustrated for the young man. He walked off the field. Now, the early report I heard is not expected to end his season, so we'll see what it is. But hopefully, that's all it is. Hopefully, something minor at most. Hopefully, he misses a game. But like many of you, I'm invested in Josh Jacobs, but more for him. Concerned about the young man. Hope he's healthy. He's having a very nice season. Not the season we wanted, but again, Josh Jacobs. Hopefully, he gets better soon. All right, instant reaction number 3. The Broncos throw the Chiefs into desperation. Broncos 22, Chiefs 19. The Broncos go to 9-2, leading that West Division, angling for a 1 seed, battling with the Patriots and the Colts. The Chiefs fall to 5-5, 1-4 on the road. The Chiefs are coming out of a bye. Andy Reid's usually very good coming out of the bye. Well, guess what? They didn't do it here. And they didn't look good. And, against Buffalo, the offense didn't look good. And before that Buffalo game, we were talking about how, oh my gosh, the Chiefs offense is finally looking good. Maybe the lack of a running game is a problem, but I still thought with the receivers, they had all these different levels. I just thought they had everything figured out. Rashee Rice, short and intermediate, Hollywood Brown, intermediate, Kelsey getting back in the mix here. You got Xavier Worthy, who can get downfield. None of it really mattered. None of it really mattered. And they did score. Kelsey got a third quarter touchdown to give them a lead in this game. And then the game ended up being tied, and the Broncos got the ball late, and they drained the clock, kicked the game winner. Congratulations to the Broncos. A big win. But Denver put Kansas City really in desperation because when we look at it, off the subject, we just got a report. Adam Schefter says Mason Rudolph likely to start at quarterback against the Bears next week when they play the Steelers. I had seen something earlier flash on my screen that said it might be a small break in the wrist. We'll find out about that later. But anyway, that's the news right now. All right, so we go back to this game. Let's go to Denver first. So Bo Nix didn't throw a touchdown, didn't throw a pick, ran for 8 yards, but he did throw for 295. So good enough game. He got the team to win, right? And that's all that really matters at this point. So did okay there. In terms of receiving, we see Troy Franklin lead the team. He and Cortland Sutton both had 8 targets. So Franklin goes 4 for 84. Sutton only 4 for 59. It's problematic with Cortland Sutton right now. And I know teams do have the most concern about defending Sutton, but they really need to get Cortland Sutton going. He hasn't really been on fire over the last month or so. Maybe he had a game in there that was good, but it's really been problematic for Cortland Sutton. He really could unlock a lot of things. Pat Bryant has a 48-yard catch in this one, so 5 for 82 on the back of that 48-yard catch, 6 targets, so he was in third there. They did a real nice job of utilizing the pass. They threw 38 passes to 21 runs. I don't think Sean Payton wanted to go in with this idea of letting RJ Harvey just carry the mail. And I think he was better off probably going with a pass first approach, probably was smartest. Harvey gets 11 carries for 30 yards, 3 catches for 20. So 50 yards, 3 catches was not a good performance. I thought he would get a little more volume than that, thought a little more receiving work than that, but he didn't. So for fantasy, we got to look at that going forward. It could be a little problematic with Harvey. Franklin's had a great floor. The targets have been insane, 8 to 10. I think it's 5 straight weeks. So he's definitely in the circle of target trust for sure. And, you got a floor there. Jaleel McLaughlin scores the rushing touchdown. Great for everybody who started him, right? 6 carries, 19 yards and a touchdown. Lost 5 yards on a reception, but he's in the mix. Tyler Bidet targeted once, 1 catch, no yards. So realistically right now, you are looking at Harvey as the lead, but I do think, at least for right now, unless there's an opponent they think they can run easily on, it looks like this might be a pass-heavier team than we may have expected. Chiefs side, weird. Kareem Hunt, 13 for 59 on the ground, scored a touchdown, 45 passes, 13 rushing attempts in a game that was close throughout. And I know the Chiefs probably don't either trust their rushing attack. They probably want to be more balanced than that. But how much do you want to work Kareem Hunt? And that's probably the problem. That 4th round pick they offered for Breece Hall, they might be regretting the moment they didn't move it up to a 3rd, because the Jets would have moved for that. And that might have been a difference maker for their season. Right now, again, I said 5-5. They have a real uphill battle to make the playoffs. They probably will, but not so hot. It's very, very frustrating there. So in terms of the receivers, the only one who was productive was Kelsey. 9 for 91 and a touchdown on 13 targets. Rashee Rice had 9 targets, only 6 for 38. The first game that wasn't like outstanding for him since returning. Hats off to Denver defense. No Patrick Surtain. Pass rush again was legit. Even though Josh Simmons, the left tackle, was back for the Chiefs, they were creating havoc. Mahomes 29-45, got sacked 3 times, threw a pick. Didn't look great. Just didn't look great. Tyquan Thornton got a 61-yard pass. Hollywood Brown 4 for 40, but again, Worthy 3 for 25. Worthy is really a pray for a long play or a touchdown flex. That's all he is. It's been since Rice has been back. It's just not working out. So yeah, Uncle Ted points out he's right. A lot of zone on Mahomes, and they don't have answers in the run game. And the Chiefs right now are in real trouble. And like I said, they are really going to be frustrated. They didn't pull the idea of that 3rd round pick for Breece Hall because they really need him. But again, congratulations to Denver, 9-2, having a wonderful, wonderful season. And that said, we are going to go over more of this week's reactions after we take a short break. All right, instant reaction number 4. The 49ers get their starters back, and they drop 41 points on the Cardinals. Final score, 49ers 41, Cardinals 22. What a game there. So Ricky Pearsall comes back. I guess we'll start with him. 3 targets, 1 catch, no yards. But honestly, he's probably healthy, but they probably just need to get him back on the field. I think that probably would. In fantasy, it was hard not to recommend him because he's a big part of what they want to do. But you have no idea when a player comes back what they have from conditioning standpoint, and it's impossible to know that. A lot of guys come back in the first game because the coach waits till they're fully healthy, and it works. But it didn't work for Pearsall, so he started him. And again, he was a player. If somebody asked me, and he was up against the proper lineup calls, I would have said Pearsall on a number of them. So apologize for getting that one wrong if I went that route. Otherwise, Brock Purdy, only 26 pass attempts. They only ran 25 times. So they were scoring quickly for sure. 51 points and 51 plays and 41 points. That was the 49ers day. So Brock Purdy, only 26 pass attempts, completes 19, 200 yards, but he throws 3 picks. So real nice there. So great day for Purdy, does what he has to do, leads the team. Christian McCaffrey, wow. 13 for 81 on the ground, 2 touchdowns, and he catches 5 more for 40 and a touchdown. We thought he wouldn't be catching 8, 9 passes with everybody back, Kittle, Jennings, Pearsall, but McCaffrey, 121 scrimmage, 3 touchdowns. The man is just unstoppable. And you know what? He will probably continue to play at the highest of levels because the more healthy players he get on the field, defenses cannot sell out to stop him because the weaponry they have is just so good. So, and as always, George Kittle, he's finally back. Last week he had a good game. This week, only 6 targets, but he caught them all for 67 yards and 2 scores. There wasn't much left. With such few plays, with 51 plays, and McCaffrey doing his damage and Kittle doing his, Jennings was good to get 4 for 54 on 6 targets. He tied with targets with Kittle and McCaffrey. And everybody else was kind of left out, including Ricky Pearsall. So there was that. Arizona side, this was fun. They were getting blown out, which is perfect for fantasy. If you started Jacoby Brissett, again, hats off. He didn't have a touchdown until late in this game, but he got him. 452 yards. He attempted 57 passes, completed 47. So 452, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. What a game. Now, Marvin Harrison misses with an appendectomy, right? And you know that Jacoby Brissett was not. It was one good game with Harrison and Brissett, and I think Harrison left early in another one. But for the most part, they really weren't getting it done. And guess what? Michael Wilson gets 18 targets, catches 15 for 185. Now, if you listen to my Start Sit show or you listen to me on XM on Saturday, I did say, and you heard this, I go, Michael Wilson is an excellent boundary receiver, and that is a real nice stylistic fit for Jacoby Brissett because Brissett is more of a gunslinger, he has a big arm. He definitely can throw to the perimeter, and I thought that was a good stylistic fit. Would I ever see 18 targets? Would I ever see 185 yards from Michael Wilson? The short answer is no. And I think a best case scenario for Wilson would have been like 90 yards. He doubled it. So again, if you started Michael Wilson, great call. Thought it'd be good. Did not think this was even in the realm of possibility. So if you picked him up on waivers, wow, what a hit. Trey McBride, of course, 10 for 115 and a touchdown, always gets it done. With Brissett, his season was not going great with Kyler Murray. He had a lot of floor games. Every game he's played with Jacoby Brissett, McBride has been a stud. And so that's the greatest thing you hope for, is that Brissett keeps staying in there, because if you got McBride, he's tied to him. And then finally, Greg Dortch, if you played him, and a lot of people had to pick him up, he caught all 6 targets for 66 and a touchdown, cleaned up late. 49ers are kind of done playing defense for the day, but hey, it all counts for fantasy football, and we take those points. So again, for fantasy, it was good. Now the running game, again, all mixed up. Bam Knight, Zonovan Knight, 5 for 24 and a touchdown. So he got the touchdown. So if you're desperate and you put him in, great. DeMercado, 5 for 8. Caught 2 for 12, so nothing there. Michael Carter, of course, he was a factor this week. If he hardly played last week because they were trailing, he had 7 targets, caught 5 for 22. Didn't do much on the ground, but again, if we were desperate there. But again, all about Brissett, McBride, and Michael Wilson. Great game for them. All right, cash in on your NFL picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less in your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today's your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports, now available in 30 plus states. You download Chalkboard today and use the promo code ROTONFL. That's ROTONFL to claim your free pick and 100% deposit match now. All right, instant reaction number 5. We have got the Bears move to 7-3 with a win over the Vikings. The Bears score 19, the Vikings 17. Bears last-second field goal. The Vikings looked like they had won this one. We'll talk about that in a minute. Bears go to 7-3, as I said. The Vikings fall to 4-6, settling in the cellar of the NFC North. The Bears ran 39 times. They passed 32. We learned this. After their bye, the running game was really clicking. Chicago will run the ball whenever they can. They will pass when they have to. And that's becoming a real problem, the passing game for fantasy. Huge problem for fantasy. Caleb, 16-32, 50%. 193, ran for 26. Caleb has become an extreme boom and an extreme bust for fantasy, because he's had a few real clunkers because of the running game, but we've seen him with 41-point games, recently in Cincinnati. So he's a real risk. You love him in best ball, but you can't help it at this point if you're in a redraft league. So again, he's very dangerous proposition. DeAndre Swift, 21 for 90, clear leader in the backfield, doesn't score a touchdown, doesn't catch a pass, so he got you 9 points. Whatever the scoring system was, 9. Monungai gets 12 carries. And normally it's 4 to 7 in games that are close, but he got 12, only 23 yards. So Swift is going for 4.5 yards a carry. Monungai goes for a little less than 2, but he did score a short touchdown. So if you were desperate and you started him, and he got a 14-yard catch out of him. The passing game, Cole Kmet leads the team 5 for 45. Everybody had that one coming, right? Not exactly. So, yeah, that was that bad. Rome Odunze leads with 6 targets, 2 for 41. Had a 24 catch and a 17 catch. That was it. So, Odunze, is it 4 of the last 6 weeks? It's been terrible. You've had some 30-yard games, a 41-yard game. You had a goose egg in there. So, Rome Odunze right now, I mean, because of Williams in the offense, you do a matchup thing, but you almost got to downgrade him to like wide receiver 3. DJ Moore, 2 bad weeks in a row, 1 for 18, 3 targets in this one. He had 2 good weeks and then a goose egg in this. So he's probably outside of flex range right now until you see him reestablish. If he does, not good. Colson Loveland, 3 for 40, fine. Kmet did better. So there's that. So real frustrating. Minnesota side, well, JJ McCarthy had the same completion rate as Caleb, 16 for 32, 150, 2 picks. He did throw a touchdown. The touchdown was late. It gave him a lead. It was Jordan Addison. The defender fell asleep. Addison was open, tried to recover, got the touchdown. Addison, 2 for 20 in the touchdown. Like I said, the touchdown happened. Give him credit for it. He got you 10 PPR points. So you got that. Jordan Addison is suffering at the hands of J.J. McCarthy. 10 points isn't good. It's okay. It's passable. But again, he had a blown coverage to get that. So on Jordan Addison, ace player, star player. That said, he's a flex right now because of his quarterback. Jefferson, 5 for 61. That's what you're getting. You're hoping for a touchdown. 5 for 61. It's probably what you're going to be seeing. Hawkinson, actually 3 for 39, was his best yardage game in 4 weeks. He had a touchdown last week, I think. But other than that, 6 targets. That was a good game for him. So he's almost unstartable. So right now, Justin Jefferson's a floor play. Now, Aaron Jones, he did dominate touches again. So he's the clear lead guy, 16 for 70 and 3 for 11. So he gets you 81 yards, 3 catches. He's a running back 2 floor play in PPR leagues. He's getting the snaps. Jordan Mason did score a short touchdown in this one. So at least that got him on the board, but you can't trust him either. 6 carries. He did get 45 yards, which was great, but he is no longer in the equation here. This is the first time he really got like double-digit fantasy points when Aaron Jones in the lineup. But again, if he didn't fall in the end zone, that wouldn't have happened. So right now, unfortunately, Jordan Mason, you love this week, but you can't really trust him. All right, everybody, thanks to our sponsor, Chalkboard, where you simply choose more or less than your favorite player stats and win up to 5,000 times your money. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Come back next week for another edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast.